So when dealing with consumers, we want to try to keep consumers on one side of their brain. Okay, so our brains are kind of divided into two parts. One is automatic and the other is analytical. On the automatic side, we have a thing called cognitive ease, and on the analytical side, we have a thing called cognitive stress. And the best example I can give of this is if you've ever driven home from work, I'm sure you've gotten all the way home and not remember the drive home, right? So drive home would be an example of cognitive ease. You know, when you learned how to drive, it was difficult. Now you don't even have to think about it, right? You can think about what you're going to do on Friday night. You can play with the radio. You can make a phone call. Some people text, although I don't suggest it. But anyway, you can do all of those things without really thinking about them because you're kind of on autopilot, right? And that's why you get all the way home and you don't remember the drive. Now, let's take that same exact drive home to demonstrate cognitive stress. And this time, instead of you just driving home, there's a police officer following you. Now, he doesn't have his lights on, he's not pulling you over, but he's following you home. How does that change the way that drive feels, right? If you're like me, right, it becomes stressful. The first thing you do is you kind of look down at your speedometer, right? You're checking your mirror. Is he still there? Your hands go to 10 and 2. No longer am I thinking about what I'm doing on Friday night. No longer am I playing with the radio, kind of just in my own little world. I'm concentrating on the fact that this police officer's following me, and I now have to focus on exactly the way I drive, right? It's kind of like somebody telling you, to focus on the way you walk. It changes, it makes it more difficult to walk, right? So a police officer following you home would change that dynamic. Right? And what happens when a police officer follows you home? What's the first thing you do? Right? Well, you might check your speedometer, you might look in your mirrors, but if you're like anybody else, the first thing you're trying to do is you're trying to find a way to get out of that lane and let that guy go by. Right? You want to get out of that person's lane. And what happens with consumers is when they switch from cognitive ease to cognitive stress, you can hear that. To me, it sounds like an 18-wheeler locking up on the highway, and to you, this is what it sounds. You're having a conversation, things are going along really well. All of a sudden, you start talking about points, or you start talking about LTV, or some other term you know, and all of a sudden, the borrower who you think is really kind of into this process with you, all of a sudden they say things like this. They say, can I call you back tomorrow? Or I'm gonna call you back, or can you send me some information? Or can I talk it over with my husband and wife and call you back? Basically what they did is they just got out of your lane. So it's really important to try to keep people in cognitive ease. So speak in normal terminology. Let's not go down the path of talking about industry terminology and talking about scary terms. Talk in human terms, like you would be talking to your friend.